You ever feel like you're just shouting into the void with your marketing? Well, today we're going to break down building a story brand, a framework that is all about cutting through that noise. We're going to see why clarifying your message isn't just, a good idea. It's pretty much the only thing that matters.
I mean, let's be real for a second. We are all just constantly bombarded with information, with ads, with companies all fighting for a tiny slice of our attention. So the biggest, most important question for any brand has got to be this. In all of that chaos, how do you actually get heard? How do you connect? Well, the answer, according to Donald Miller's super influential book, comes down to one thing: storytelling. He completely reframes marketing. It's not about shouting about your brand. It's about inviting customers into a story where they are the absolute focus. And you know what? That simple shift, it's the key to the whole. This right here, this is the fundamental mistake that so many businesses make. They talk about themselves, their history, their awards, their fancy features. But here's the honest truth. Your customer doesn't care about your story. They care about their own. And marketing fails the second it tries to make the brand the hero. Okay, so that brings us to the first and honestly the most crucial shift in perspective you have to make. It is all about figuring out who the real hero of the story is. Getting this one thing right, well, it builds the entire foundation for everything else we're going to talk about. So here it is in a nutshell. Stop trying to be Luke Skywalker. Your customer is Luke. Your brand's job? It's to be Yoda. And this isn't just some clever little analogy. It's a complete strategic repositioning. Your customer is the protagonist, and they are on a quest. So your very first step is to clearly define your customer as the hero. What is it they want? What problems are keeping them up at night? Every single piece of your marketing, your website copy, your emails, everything has to revolve around their journey and the transformation they're looking for. Now, to help us do this, Miller gives us a roadmap. It's called the SB7 framework, and it's a 7-part structure that, when you think about it, mirrors pretty much every great story ever told. It goes like this. A character has a problem and meets a guide who gives them a plan and calls them to action, which helps them avoid failure and, of course, ends in success. Let's dig into the most important role your brand is meant to play in that story. Right, so if the customer is the hero, where does your brand fit into all this? You are the guide. You're that wise, experienced character who shows up to help the hero win the day. And your number one job is to earn their trust. So the very first way you earn that trust is by showing empathy. I mean, think about it. A hero is never going to trust a guide who doesn't get what they're going through. Your messaging has to scream, "We see you, we understand your struggle." That's how you build that immediate, real connection. But look, empathy by itself isn't enough. The guide also has to be competent, right? So right after you say, "We understand your problem," you have to follow it up with, "And we actually know how to help." This is where your authority comes in. It's the proof that you've got what it takes to solve the hero's problem. So how do you show off your authority without just sounding like you're bragging? It's simple, really. You let other people do the talking for you. Customer testimonials? That's powerful social proof. Awards? Show you're recognized by others in your field. And sharing genuinely helpful content? That demonstrates your expertise in a way that actually serves your audience. Okay, so the hero trusts you. They feel your empathy, and they believe in your authority. Now what? Well, now you have to give them a really clear path to follow. It's time to make it incredibly, ridiculously easy for them to say yes. You have to remember this one simple rule. If you confuse, you lose. It's true. The human brain is literally wired to conserve energy, and being confused burns a ton of calories. So if a customer has to think too hard about what to do next on your website, they're just going to click away and find a competitor who makes it simple. The solution is a super simple 3-step plan. Step 1, here's how you get started. Step 2, here's the process you'll follow. And step 3, here's the amazing success you can expect. When you lay it out that clearly, it just removes all the risk and confusion from their decision. Now, once you've laid out that clear plan, you have to do something that, for some reason, a lot of brands are strangely afraid of. You have to actually ask for the business. This is your call to action, or CTA. It's that moment the guide looks at the hero and challenges them to take that next big step in their story. Miller breaks this down into 2 types that you absolutely need. First is the direct CTA. That's your big buy now button. It's a clear ask for the sale. But since not everyone is ready to commit right away, you also need a transitional CTA, like download our free guide. It's a much smaller, lower-risk step that builds trust and keeps them in your store. All right, now for the final, and maybe the most powerful, piece of this whole puzzle. It's what gives every great story its emotional punch: the stakes. We have to answer that big question. So what? Why should the hero act now?
A story without stakes is, well, it's just boring, isn't it? So first, you have to paint this vivid, desirable picture of what life is going to look like after they use your product or service. You got to show them the success they're craving. That's the happy ending they're after. But to create real motivation, you also have to gently remind them of what's at risk if they do nothing. What's the cost of not solving their problem? No, this isn't about fear-mongering. It's about creating urgency by highlighting those negative consequences that they are actively trying to run away from. And that, right there, is the ultimate goal. See, it's not just about selling something. It's about facilitating a transformation. The journey with your brand should lead the customer to become a better, more successful version of themselves. Your product, it's just the tool that helps them get there. So we end right back where we started, with the most important question of all. I want you to take a hard look at your own marketing, your website, your social media, all of it. Are you positioning your brand as the hero? Or are you inviting your customer into a story where they get to be the hero, and you are simply the trusted guide who can help them win the day? Because honestly, the answer to that one question, it can change everything.